thanks for joining me. Enjoy some coffee, sit back, relax, and I'm going to run you through my process of this more simplified linear style of artwork that only requires 2 or 3 colors. For this piece, I chose a square layout, so I used the top of my pencil tin and then made marks at the thirds around the edges. I tend to see and measure better when I am using thirds as opposed to fourths, but that's just me. On the upper left of the screen is my reference image that I have sectioned into thirds using a grid. So there are 9 equal squares within the grid total, just to reiterate. I do a lot of measuring and deciding angles. There isn't much of a science to it, just more decision making. Measure twice, mark once, etc. I chose 2 colors that are somewhat opposite each other on the color wheel, a sort of lime green and magenta, using the lime green for the skin and the magenta for the hair. It looks fast, but really I am taking my time with these marks. I place my pencil on angles over where I want to put the next marks and see if that works with the rest of the shape that I'm trying to make. All abstract shapes are just a bunch of angles, and in that mindset you can find relationships between the angles. Eventually it will make sense. A tip for creating complex shapes, such as the ones found in hair, is a technique called enveloping, or working from the outside of the shape in. This clump of curly hair makes a triangular shape on the side of the model's head. Each curl creates angles that are roughly parallel to each other, so instead of drawing in every individual curl, draw in the angles and negative spaces that they create as they interact. So, keeping the lines roughly parallel to each other, it was easier to create believable thick curls. Blending the magenta over the lime green created the various browns in her irises and eyebrows. For the darkest darks, I chose an indigo, especially for the pupils and darker iris peripheries. It also served as a convenient way to simply describe the white of her blouse. I tend to press too hard into the paper, so I have the cardboard back of another sketchbook placed right behind that sheet so that I don't crease into the paper into the underlying sheets of the sketchbook. This also reduces the tiny shadows that are caused by pressing too hard. This can alter color slightly and also shift the outcome of what you may have been aiming for. The second piece is of the lovely Joellen Elam, and the process is much the same, except this time I chose to use a yellow and a lavender to contrast each other. With this piece, I chose to use the yellow as more of an underdrawing. When you use complementary colors, you can find so many colors in between those two as you blend them. guess I was feeling a bit tired and lazy these 2 days, which is probably why I ended up with a simpler style. This wasn't intentional, which is why I ended up liking the outcome so much. I fully intended to be more detailed, but my body said, not today. Art challenges can be tough to keep up with, especially when they are 100 days long. Anyway, I'm gonna quiet down and let you enjoy the rest of the video. Again, thanks so much for stopping by, and take good care of yourself and your loved ones. Hope to see you again.